Hello, and welcome to LeWeb', live from Paris. I'm Mark Davis, and over the next 3 days, you can join us for a series of Google Plus Hangouts with some of the keynote speakers at LeWeb', where the movers and the shakers from the world of technology come to discuss the trends that, to a certain extent, will shape the way we live our lives over the next few years. We're going to be joined by engineers, developers, entrepreneurs, investors. Now, if you'd like to take part in these Hangouts and to ask questions yourselves to the speakers in the Hangouts, then you can do so. Just go to euronews.com and on the homepage, just follow the signs for LeWeb', and you'll find a schedule of the people who will be hanging out with us, as well as registration form, so you'll be able to sign up. And I'm joined first, it's our first guest of LeWeb', by a pioneer in what is connected devices that are designed to improve our health. He is Cedric Hutchings, and he's the co-founder of Withings, or Withings. Now, we're joined also by Benny. Benny, can you hear me down there?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you as well. We'll be coming to you for questions in a minute. Just firstly to Cedric, thank you very much for taking the time to join us here. Now you were in a keynote about wearable computing, wearable technologies, but what do you do? It's not strictly limited to wearable, is it?
First, thank you for the invitation. Actually, so Withings, as you said, has been developing now for years devices, applications that help us live healthier life. And among these devices, we do a lot of sensors that capture information about our health, about our behavior, and in many forms. Wearable is one of these forms because of convenience. Some information needs to be captured while you are living your daily life, while you are working, running, whatever. So it is why part of our product and our latest baby, which is called Activité, is a true wearable in the form of a watch.
And you're displaying it now. This is Activité,
Yeah.
and it's a recent launch. I took the metro to come here this morning, and the body analyzer, the scales were plastered big all over the metro, so that's something that's coming to really to a mass market. Whereas the watch, it's kind of the new kid on the block, and I don't know if we can see it on the camera. If we can, it actually looks like a watch. It doesn't look like a smartwatch. It's not what somebody might think is a watch with a lot of technology. Does that affect your marketing of it in any way?
Yes, and let's maybe rewind why it does not look like a smartwatch. I think it's very interesting statement. We look at this, fitness trackers that happens to register, real time the level of our activity, get a lot of analytics, maybe get some coaching motivation, and these trackers are mainly in two forms. One is fitness band, and one is embedded in smartwatch. And when we say this way, smartwatch is mostly, I will call it, extra piece of smartphone on your wrist. And we think that there are a lot of shortcomings. And these shortcomings leads to the fact that they are not worn on the long term. So at Withings, we are looking at ways to provide tools that you will use on the long term. So we turn, really the equation, upside down, and we say, okay, let's design a beautiful watch that you will wear because it's a beautiful and simple watch, but that will happen to get, all the sensors information, but without giving you all the complexity that, early adopters accept, but not the rest of us. And first and foremost of it, it's the battery life. All the smartwatch trackers, lack battery life. So you have to think about it, to recharge it every 2 other days or every night or every couple of days, depending on the device. So we've come up with a device that you do not recharge. It lasts for more than 8 months. So, it really fixes the first shortcomings that makes all of these devices being droppable more than wearable.
And in terms of what's quantifiable, you've spoken at length in the past about the quantified self. How does this watch, but also the other products in your range, how do they quantify? I mean, we all know what makes us healthy. We all know that pretty much if we avoid alcohol and cigarettes and we do exercise regularly, then we're going to be fit. I know that, that's fairly common knowledge. But how does the quantification of these things help us to become healthier?
So I think it's most of what we can do for better health are, as you say, common knowledge. And I fully agree with that. And what we lack is motivation in our daily life to, let's say, apply this common knowledge with our, specific individual life. So, it's very well known that in order to control something, to have an impact, you need first to measure it. So all this, quantified self-trend is really first get the insight on where you are at with your current daily routine. So let's take an example, 10,000 step. You might, call it common knowledge. A lot of people, and that's a World, Health Organization advice to be doing, half an hour a day of, moderate fitness activities, or it can translate in certain cases just 10,000 steps. Do you know how many steps do you walk daily? Most likely not if you've not been working such a tracker. So first is get awareness, insight, where I am at against this common knowledge. But second, and maybe more importantly, is how do I get this just little piece of extra motivation to, now that I know that I'm only, walk 2,000 steps, how do I progress a bit more toward a healthy lifestyle? And that's where, all the motivation part is coming. And it's not about, getting a motivation for a dramatic gap in our daily lives. It's not something that is sustainable. It's just the extra motivation to change little by little, but in an accumulative way and in a sustainable way.
Could it in any way replace the personal trainer?
I think for a lot of people, first they do not access to personal trainer, and it's really generating a smart coach. These apps you get to have in your pockets, but with a smartphone, and get this guardian angel, or call it a personal trainer. So I think yes, it can, depending on how you view it, replace or maybe enrich the relationship you have with your personal trainer, who can know where you are at, get some inputs, and provide better advice and better apply to your actual life.
So these wearables or connected devices, where they're not actually wearable, they haven't done 7 years of medical school. They're not going to replace a doctor. But how does the medical world view your products?
For sure, it's by no way in a way to replace the doctor. It's a way to provide much more insight to the doctor. We do at Withings, for example, a blood pressure monitor. And you ask me how the doctor is seeing, a home blood pressure monitor. Actually, the doctors already advise people who needs to monitor their blood pressure to get one and make the measurement at home. Because we know about this white jacket bias that you'll be stressed when you go at the doctor premises. You take one measurement that might not reflect the value of your blood pressure over the day. So the first things that the doctor says, get a blood pressure, take a measurement, let's say 3 times in the mornings during a few days, or etc. Write down the number, make an average of it, and the next time you come back, show me the number. All what we do here by doing a smart connected blood pressure is removing all what I've been saying. Just take a measurement from time to time and actually be advised or be recalled to take a measurement through the apps, etc. And then share the trend, this long-term trend with me, so I can be much more have much more insight when it's time to give some prescription or give some advice. So actually it's really enriching the relationship with your doctors. And we think that, one key point that was shared earlier at the keynote is that what is happening is that more and more consumer tech, so device that we all in a way accept in our daily lives, not piece of hospital, this consumer tech will be more and more relevant for healthcare. Because they can take useful information and provide useful stream of data for better healthcare, more prevention, and better what we call chronic disease management.
I've got one more question before we go to Benny, because I know Benny also he has questions, and it refers to what you were talking about in the keynote discussion. It's that at some point, our children's children, for example, they're going to laugh at the fact that people wore clothes whose only function was to stop us being naked. How far do you think a realistic vision of the future, and if so, how soon do you think it's going to happen?
Oh, I think it's very realistic, and it is happening already. So it's for sure will not be our children, grandchildren, children. But I think that in a few years, let's take a scale that is just a device. You step on it, throw at you a number, and maybe generate some emotion, good or bad, when you go out of the shower in the morning. Is useless, and I think that in a very few years, and not in a lot of years, we'll be seeing non-connected scale that do not graph a trend, give you some feedback and sharing with anyone that you wants to. This trend is a useless device. And another way to put it, and that was saying earlier, is that again at the session, is a car that does not have a dashboard is really useless in a way that it does not give feedback on how much fuel you have in the tank, so you don't feel comfortable, and does not give you feedback on how fast you are driving, which is very scary. And I think that's a lot of our health. It is not happening in 20 years, in 5 years, we'll be looking back and saying, okay, this guy maybe quantified world of dashboard, etc., but without anything about our health. So I think it's happening.
That raises questions for the established players in whether fashion or design scales. These industries, they cottoned on to this fact. Are they on top of it?
I think they've been quite slow, like in disruption innovation. I think the models of this connected health space are almost all new companies are built around the management of data, the management of user experience that involves device, but involves application. And for incumbents, as you mentioned, it's very hard to go beyond the subject of we do connected stuff, so let's choose our technology, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. So that's 1% of the issue you have to tackle. The issue is about how you manage the user experience, how you manage the data stream, how you manage the feedback. Do you enter into a big data kind of challenge? All these challenges are, I think, very disruptive for the incumbents.
It'd be very interesting to see. It's almost like a seismic shift in all those industries, in fact. Benny, we'll go over to Benny for some questions.
Hello, Cedric. I understand the field of wearable health technology is really interesting, especially when you have older parents or maybe grandparents, they might be sick or something like that. So that's very interesting. But I have a question for you. When you decided to start a health company, was it a personal decision, or was it based on the economical outlook of the health industry?
Thanks for being here, and a very interesting question. I come out from the telco industry, so when we started Withings in 2008, we had more experience, the mindset of there will be devices that are interesting to us because we think that subjects to connect them, because it just bring more features, enrich the services, give it more simple, and actually the first one of it was a scale, because we thought that it was really again stupid just to do this extra next step, to step on a scale and just have the measure forgotten. So we started, I should say, like an Internet of Things company in 2008. Then we discovered through our user, to be honest, through our the feedback we had from our first user, we discovered how impactful the use of a connected scale was on the behavior. we were literally submerged by feedback emails from American users saying, sharing with us that this device has changed their life. For the first time, they were achieving this type of weight loss. They realized that they had changed behavior without taking a big decision about it, just because they had this constant feedback and were impacting a trend and not looking for a gap or a huge gap. So it's at that time that we really decided to focus on connected health, on devices that will help us take this small decision during our daily lives. So we started as an Internet of Things company, and quite quickly we then focus on connected health.
Thank you very much. I think the stream is gone.
Healthier lifestyles since taking a product?
I think at the end of the day, that's the key question. The outcome of it. So we have a lot of evidence of the actual and quantified impact of you setting a weight goals versus not setting, and how you achieve it, having a scale, connected scale and not. So the answer is yes. And how do we, communicate about this evidence? We do it through a university that run, labs that run studies and comparison studies, but also we have a lot of data, and we have opened a new section on our website, I think for last week, that we call the Withings Health Institute, where we do communicate, publicize, aggregate anonymous information, obviously with maps and evolution that are among our users. So please check out our website, and we show the percentage of people that are achieving weight loss using our device, and the level of stickiness of our device is a very important metric. Is how sticky, how accepted they are in the daily life, and we do we have started to publish this kind of information on our website.
Looking forward for Withings, what you do now is focused on health. Are there any plans to go into performance, into fitness?
It's not our plan. So we are really focused on health and on a big change. And the change is that yesterday there was a big frontier between wellness, or some might call it personal health, and healthcare. And we think that this frontier is disappearing. And in fact, we are focusing on this disappearance of the frontier, because we believe, again, that more and more consumer device, consumer application will make it into the relationship we have with healthcare. And it is a big economic and society change. How we change the way we do prevention, how we do improve, the efficiency of chronic disease management. Chronic disease is what will hurt half of us in the future. It's all about the consequences of obesity, of hypertension, of diabetes, asthma. And what these diseases have in common is that you can, in most of cases, live very long, live very well with it, provided you do something about it, and not something about it in the short term, but in the long term. And so we think that the tools to help people do something about it are definitively very important. So we really focus on this part.
Now, the wearable, the products that you have the Activité, the watch, you have Home, you have Aura, which can quantify your sleeping patterns. You don't yet, correct me if I'm wrong, have any wearable clothing, and wearable clothing would seem to be something that lends itself quite well to health benefits. Do you have plans, prototypes, anything in the pipeline to come out with clothes?
So we do not, usually communicate on our short-term plan, or on what we have in prototypes. So I will not answer, to you. Yes, we have prototype of this, but definitely, again, it's all about convenience, because it's all about how sustainable what we propose are into your daily life. And textile brings a lot of challenge. Is it washable, etc., etc. But it's also very interesting landing area for this kind of sensors, for sure.
We'll go back to Benny.
Hi.
Hey, Benny.
So I have one more question that might not be related to health. I have an entrepreneurial spirit myself. And I wanted to ask you, I know that you attended some of the best schools in the world, and except for education, what other advantages did you gain by attending those schools in comparison to lesser known institutions?
Well, thanks a lot. And I think as a European trained engineer, what I got out from American University, I did it is first. The lab directors were entrepreneurs, and that was really exciting to be in a research environment where the head of the department again was an entrepreneur, has to tackle on how to drive interest, public interest, investor interest, student interest in his lab. So it was very interesting experience. The second that on top of what I learned there as expertise is the openness I found in U.S. universities on crossing different disciplinary and not be shy of taking actually aerospace human factor expertise and develop the decades of Apollo to apply the learning the assets back to adaptive cruise control, driving, car driving, adaptive cruise control, or aging population. And so this manner of feeding across different disciplinary was really insightful for me, a big learning.
I see. So would you say that it's easier in the US to start up a business in comparison to maybe France or Germany or in Europe?
I think I was talking about really the cultural part, and then in terms of setups, I think in France, for example, that I know much more, there are a lot of very positive help to help you start a tech business. So I will see it as easier to really start. Then you can be divert from the most important challenging issue of a business. In France, you might have trouble to scale up or to be challenged to scale up quickly. One of the choice we made at Withings quite early on, and I think that was a good move. Looking back, it's always easy to describe or comment looking back, but we really chose to be out of France in terms of reaching off market early on. So we started to sell our devices in maybe summer 2009, and in October 2009 I had set up all the ways to sell online in the US our device. So it's a lot of challenge, but it forces us to get out of our country. And when we are doing new stuff, the market at the beginning is quite small in every geo, so you benefit from being in several geos. In terms of communication media, I mean, tech is a very small village. If you make it into Engadget, TechCrunch, etc., with your new cool stuff, you better be available in a lot of region, because it's the same shot you get from US, France, UK, Italy. It basically happens overnight everywhere. So it's important to be global, even as a small company. And I think that it's possible. I mean, there are a lot of ways, including if you're doing hardware products, to be global, fairly quickly.
I've just got one very more quick question, then we'll let you go, because I'm starving, and I think you must be as well. In the discussion, the keynote discussion you just had, there was a prediction that by the end of next year, 10 million people will be wearing Apple Watches. How many people do you hope will be wearing the Activité Watch by this time next year?
That's a very innovative and smart ways to ask me for numbers, which is an answer we do not usually provide. So of course I hope it to be in the millions as well. But I really like the Apple prediction, because for sure there are a lot of people accountable to make these numbers at Apple.
Well, listen, it's been really nice of you to come and join us, and really interesting to talk to you. Best of luck with the Activité Watch and with everything else. And well, we never know, we might see you again back here next year.
Thank you very much for this invitation and innovative setups. Thanks again.
Our pleasure. And thank you also to Benny. Benny, we might see you later as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Benny.
Thank you for asking my questions.
We'll be back with the co-founder of Bop FM, Shehzad Dareja, is at 2:40, and in the meantime we'll get something to eat. Okay, so see you soon.
Thank you.